But first, we are joined by the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg. Secretary Buttigieg, thank you very much for being here. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me. Good to be back with you.
So I know, obviously, big picture, jobs, this COVID relief bill is something that is very important to you. What do you say to those who say 1.9 trillion is larger than any relief package just by itself than we've ever had in this country? And we've still got $1 trillion that has been designated but not even spent yet. And things appear to be turning around. Why not wait and see how it goes?
Well, the reason is that the risk of not doing enough is so much worse than the possibility of acting too quickly or doing too much. Look, it's true. We've not had a rescue package like this because we've not had a crisis like this. It's fantastic news that we have more vaccines on the way. But of course, that's exactly why we need to pass this bill. You know, part of what the American Rescue Plan does is make sure that we can get those sites up, get the shots out to the sites, get the shots into people's arms.
But people say only 10% of it actually deals with that. And a lot of it deals with packages for education, for example, that don't even kick in until 2022. What's that doing in a COVID relief bill?
Well, I think one of the most important things we can do in COVID relief is get schools open safely.
Yeah, but we have $100 billion kicking around in most of our cities that hasn't even been spent yet. Wouldn't you, like, as a responsible person who I know cares about fiscal matters, wouldn't you say to those schools, look, let's spend the money that's already been designated because you have only spent a sliver of it at this point, and let's talk about 2022 later?
I wouldn't say a sliver. And look, part of how this works is we got to think more than a few weeks at a time. You don't want to run all the way out of gas and then try to come back to Congress to do it all over again. If there's one thing we've learned, we've actually got to be capable of planning a little bit ahead. 2022 may sound or feel like the distant future because we've just been getting hit so hard and things have been so swift. But let's be very clear. 2022 is a few months away, and we've got to make sure that we're preparing our schools not just to reopen as much as we safely can this school year,
we've got a lot of schools across the country
but to also be in good shape for the 2021-2022 school
safely,
year. Right? I mean,
as I said, we've got $900 billion that's not spent. So I think
sorry,
most people
I wasn't able to finish my thought. But what I'm saying is that the school year coming up is the 21-22 school year. I mean, that's right around the corner. We have got to get as many schools open quickly. Parents are losing their minds, and I don't blame them.
Well, on that we agree with you. But there's a lot of money unspent that could be. I just want to go back to the big picture on jobs here and changing jobs and the changing workforce. It's something that you were pressed on when you went through your hearing. And I want to play a little bit of that. And then also one of these individuals who's a coal miner who spoke to Selena Zito, who's coming up in just a moment. Watch this.
What do you say to those workers whose jobs have just been eliminated by presidential edict?
The most important thing is to make sure that we make good on the promise of the president's climate vision as being one that, on net, creates far more jobs. Millions, we hope.
So for those workers, the answer is somebody else will get a job?
We are very eager to see those workers continue to be employed in good-paying union jobs, even if they might be different ones.
If I went to work for the solar panel right now, I would be taking a $35 an hour pay cut. It's not as easy as somebody might think, or people might think, to just start all over at 45 years old.
What do you say to him, Secretary?
He's right. We can't just ask people to flip a switch and change their way of life. We also can't pretend that we can stop time. What we've got to do is make sure that we are creating as many and, critically, as good paying opportunities in the future as we've had in the past. But we can't do that by pretending that the future is not coming. Things are changing. The climate is changing. The economy is changing. Technology is changing. So we got to make sure that every worker who's thriving today is going to be thriving tomorrow.
Well, let me just
ask you, it's especially important that we support labor unions right now, who've been under a lot of attack in recent years.
No, I hear you.
But those union jobs are the ones we most want to make sure
I got to ask you one quick question, and I'm under time here. But that worker, he works in a coal mine that makes steel production that's exclusively used for bridges and roads and highways, which is something I know you want to build more of, and you want to do infrastructure. So why eliminate his job now? I mean, if you've got more jobs down the road, great. But why eliminate his job now?
Well, look, we're the ones who want to see more going into infrastructure, including roads and bridges, and we're absolutely going to need him. We're either going to need him doing the work he's been doing, or we're going to need him in a new capacity. But the most important thing is to tell him the truth, and that's what we're always going to do.
Yeah. A lot of clean technology that has been implemented in his industry, which he says he cares very much about because that's where he lives too. So Secretary Buttigieg, thank you for coming on, and we'll watch how the progress is with this COVID bill as it moves forward. And as